Get ready to move, get ready to prove. We're bringing the funk, gonna make you move. Life back system, it's time for change.
Hey guys, Coach Lisa Pickard here with you to go over why it is so important to take care of your liver. So no matter what brought you to this journey, what I want to tell you is that sickness brought me here. I know that God took me right through everything I went through and came out on the other side, not living, but existing. And from there, I had to get my life back, which is why I designed the program, I've written the program, I put the program together. But there's a lot of, things going on in the world, and we have our finger access to it, like it's at our fingertips. So we can constantly be searching for things that maybe make things better, quicker. We live in an instamatic world. We're constantly trying to get like Amazon results, right? Like next day, prime results. Well, unfortunately, whether it was 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, one child or 15 children, we have toxins in our body. Some we have controlled by choice of eating the wrong things through our diet and nutrition. Maybe we used the wrong products. We just didn't have an awareness. We didn't have knowledge of any of this. And to be honest with you, none of that matters. What matters is that you recognize where you are today, and then from here, you build the future you. So you want to keep moving to make yourself better. So as we talk about detoxing the liver all the time, the liver has several symptoms, receptors, way to yell out at you, and it's saying, hey, I'm not doing so hot down here. But the liver is a silent killer because it doesn't have direct pain, but it has gallbladder pain, it has kidney pain, it has ovary pains, it's got brain fog, it has thyroid, it's got pituitary, it has many other pains and signals that's trying to wake you up. It's trying to get your attention. So while all this is going on, you're searching and searching and searching for answers because you won't ever really know it was your liver. You actually have to either know it, like learn it, see it, accidentally stumble on it, which I don't believe in that. I believe that God brought everybody here for a reason. You have feet issues. I mean, my goodness, varicose veins is all about the liver. If you have anemia, you have iron deficiency, you have copper deficiency, like it's big, and people always go, how big? It is so big that the doctors have missed it. That's how big it is. And I look at this and I'm like, man, it's the largest organ, and they're just not paying attention. And it does frustrate me. So yes, I am a workaholic. Yes, I get in and I work, every day as many hours as I can. I'm constantly researching, constantly bringing you cutting edge, constantly doing research on things that claim to be researched, only to find out it was either paid for and in bed with the FDA and the big pharma. We have a huge problem, like huge. So one of the biggest things out there is I've had people come back to me and they're always asking, like, what do you think about doing like coffee enemas for your colon? What do you think about gallbladder detoxes? What do you think about a liver detox? What do you think about, heavy metals? So there is several things that all connect back together, but usually the reason why a person is doing that is because of a signal that they've had that makes them feel like this is something they need to do, right? For example, your shoulder hurts, you get an MRI. Your knees hurt, you do this. You need a hip replacement, you go to the hip doctor. You're having heart palpitations, you go see a heart doctor. But typically, nobody is going to see the liver doctor. So do you need to see a liver doctor? Really, it depends on how sick your liver is. But I will tell you straightforward, there are so many people who have lipid panels done, and it does not show in the blood work that they actually have a liver problem. So why is it not showing? This is something that baffles me until you dig deeper, and then you start to realize that sometimes the liver won't show the problems in the blood because it's other receptors, as in the cellular development, that's actually not working, or they're clogged, for lack of better words. I'm not a doctor, so I'm never going to use medical terms. That's not who I am, but I'm going to break things down that make it super easy to understand so that if you're in question, you can get with your doctor and come up with a program or a solution to whatever that may be. But along the way, I'm always going to share to you the best state-of-the-edge cutting solutions that will get rid of your sluggish, fatty, hepatic, fibrosis, cirrhosis liver, because each stage of that, when it gets worse and worse, makes it less for you to come back and have healing. And I hear this every day. It's not like it's something that's like once in a lifetime. I work with people every day. They're like, well, my doctor said, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So cell rejuvenation starts in the liver. Like, we have to have that liver functioning. But for lack of argument right now, just for a moment, your cell rejuvenation also have symptoms. And those symptoms can be anxiety, chronic fatigue, weight loss, autoimmune, brain fog, type 2, iron, thyroid, kidney, low libido. It can be testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. It could be a mineral deficiency. It could also be headaches, migraines, not able to breathe, cold hands and feet, insomnia, hair loss. Let's look at a couple more. Mood swings, which tie into anxiety, breathing, bronchitis, chronic fatigue, not able to have the energy to work out or do the things you'd like to do. You just want to go to like a family function and you just don't have that energy. Weight loss resistance. You can also have weight gain resistance, which is a malnutrition. Along with this, in autoimmune, we often have burning and tingling in the bottom of our feet and the palms of our hands. This is all in brain fog, comes with double vision. In type 2, we have double vision. We have multiple diseases that fall under all of these categories. So what am I trying to tell you, right? So I just want to go over a couple things that are also alternatives to dealing with the liver, but they're going to help the liver. So it's not like we're ignoring the liver. The liver's your focus, but there are other things besides a blood test that maybe can help you figure out exactly why you have some of these. And I'm going to go into that, but you have to remember it's going to lead right back to the liver. So you could have a saliva test, you could have a hair test, you could have a urine test. These are phenomenal ways to find out exactly what's going on in your body as far as deficiencies go. Because now we're going to go back, do I need supplements or do I not need supplements? And am I taking too many supplements or not enough supplements? Literally, the best way to figure that out is a saliva test. You can buy them online, ship them to Oregon or wherever the destination is. The one I use is in Oregon. They read it and send you back your results. It's like on a computer printout sheet. And they'll tell you, like, you have too much of this or not that. Now, if you go in for a hormone test or a metabolic test, you're going to get a lot of information from there, but you might not, they might miss something, is what I'm trying to tell you. If they come back and say everything looks great and you have these symptoms, come on, you guys, wake up, because guess what? Symptoms indicate that something is wrong. You weren't born with those symptoms. Now, some people are. They're born with kidney disease, liver disease, whatever. And I'm going to touch on that in just a moment too. But meanwhile, saliva, hair, urine, blood work is all going to give you some information about yourself. But the most important thing they're going to give you is that your cells have become muted. That can happen from generations, and it can go up to 7 generations deep or more, because that person wasn't healthy, that person wasn't healthy, so on and so on. So when you're in the womb, which is no fault of your own, you also are not healthy, which goes from mom and dad being transferred into you as a new human that's being born. So what do we do from there? We have to have re-cell generation, which allows you to increase your mitochondria, your ATP, correct those DNA cells, and get healthier. Well, how do I do that if I'm born that way, right? That might be what you're thinking. There are certain genetic traits that cannot be changed. They're never going to change. That's just the way it is. But There is so much rejuvenation in your liver that gives you healthier red blood cells that no matter what you look like, at least you can be healthy on the inside. So there's the external, which is just a product of what went on during birth, well, not birth, but your gestation of the 9 months of being developed, and then wherever you're at after that. And then from there, it's a process of nutrition from infancy to childhood to teenhood, and it goes on up to who we are today. So if you don't like some of your results, as far as like you have thin hair, or you have things that aren't working properly, you have mutilated cells, you've got any of these type of signals and symptoms going on, let's just talk about autoimmune. Like, that's everything, right? Like, anything that's attacking your own body is an autoimmune disease. Thyroid disease is autoimmune disease. So when we look at all of this and you have these symptoms, the first thing you have to do, especially if you're sitting there telling me, well, I didn't have that 5 days ago, I didn't have that, a month ago or 3 months ago or 10 years ago, it's because the body is automatically aging. We know that's going to happen, but it's aged at a very rapid pace because there's something going on. So what is that something? What's causing this? Well, when we don't have cell rejuvenation, it's because our liver isn't functioning properly. So what do? We have to detox it. All right. So now you went to the doctor, they said your liver looks fine, your panels look great, your blood work looks great. I don't know what to tell you. Let's put you on a medication. Do I want you on medication? No, because now the medication goes in your mouth, goes right back to the liver and causes more damage. So what can we do? Just as an example here, this is your cell, and then these are receptors on the outside. These all have different types of jobs. So you have your nutrient, basically your nutrients are going in, those are receptors. You've got your ATP as a receptor, you have your mitochondria, like all of this is going on. It's not like you're just awake and alive and, hey, my body's not doing anything on the inside. It is constantly working. Like right now, my brain is thinking about what it's going to be saying. My brain is telling my heart to beat. My liver is doing its detox from my workout. This is all going on at all times of the day. Even when you go to sleep, the liver is still working, and so is your heart. But the better the liver functions, the better everything else functions, which is why you won't have high blood pressure or low blood pressure or heart palpitations or AFib. I mean, literally, you guys, it goes on and on. So what is the problem, Coach? Well, we've talked about a lot of nutrient issues with the liver, but today I want to talk about toxins. So what toxins are in your liver that has created a barrier to where you're not getting the healthy red blood cells and the healthy white blood cells is we have these toxins called heavy metals. Heavy metal actually for me started just about maybe 4.5 years old. I would say 5 at the latest. My children, even as young as 2, because, and actually some of them were right straight from birth. And let me tell you something. If I would have understood the mercury issue in tuna, I probably would have stopped tuna years ago. But then I realized, okay, that's a very small amount. Does it matter? Well, it matters if your liver's not working, but if your liver's functioning fine and there's no clog, it probably would not matter for a while. Now, am I saying don't eat tuna? No, that's not what I'm saying. But we can do better in the type that we buy. So you don't want to be buying junk tuna. And I bought massive amounts of junk tuna. Again, I'm telling you, I know that I got sick in order to be able to share this information with you. So the tuna that I used to buy was like 59 cents a can, or you buy whatever it is, 10 for whatever amount of dollars, but it was not good albacore clean tuna. Today you can get really good tuna. I bought what was on sale to feed the kids, just like everybody else. Is that an excuse? No, but it goes back to your money, Big Pharma, FDA, the regulations that they allowed those toxins in that tuna. They knew that was in there, and yet they sold it to us and said, here's a deal, go to your local grocery store and get 10 cans for $1 or whatever. Literally, it's such a scam, it just makes me really upset. So with my kids, we lived on tuna, right? Tuna fish sandwiches every day. You're getting your protein. It's so much better than bologna, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not better when it's full of toxins, because over a period of time, the liver is going to shut down, even as early as like 25, 23 years old, if that was a pattern that you did all the time. Our paint in our house is toxic. The asbestos is toxic. All of these things the government just allowed, and then over a period of time, we got taken out, we go to the doctor, we get prescription, and it goes right back to big pharma. So if you follow the loop, you follow the money, you can really see how so much money it goes into here, which we're gonna touch on that. So you have heavy metals, lead, arsenic, mercury, chemicals. These are things that are found in your food, your clothing, your air. It is everywhere, your emissions. Oh my gosh, like when I was doing explosives, I constantly had to meet the regulations for using explosives in the air, how much is going on, what causes cancer, what are you allowed to work with. I handled explosives and dynamite for years. My kids handled it. It is so toxic to the liver, and it puts high levels of these heavy metal toxins into your body, that now I can look back and go, wow, I see why I had autoimmune and insulin resistance, right? Because my liver couldn't work, and it has damage from all those toxins. So am I basically hopeless? No, because I have figured out a way 100% through this program to detox our body. But yes, it's the liver I focus on, but I want to talk about heavy metal detox. So when we get into here, we're going to talk about the neurotoxins, which is in your brain function, how you have to detox that. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in 2 to 3 generations to come. And I probably won't be here, but some of you will be. So now we have hidden infections in the brain, hidden infections with our white blood cells. It's working all day long to fight off these infections, and they're literally hidden, but they're not hidden, because when you have hidden infections, you have all of this: anxiety, fatigue, type 2 diabetes, neuropathy. These are all related to infections in the body. So they're technically not hidden, because they're screaming out to you saying, hey, we need help, right? So now we look at the other part that you are absolutely, I would say once you have an awareness, you have to be responsible for, but really you were not responsible for. So you're a teenager, you get your license, you go on the highway and you're driving, and there's these trucks putting out all this emissions under, from their vehicle, or maybe you're pumping fuel and you're breathing right there over the gas and the diesel, whatever it is. These are environmental toxins. These are heavy metal toxins that have gone into your liver. If you are like me, I've been driving 50 years now, and I've been pumping diesel and gas and big heavy equipment. I ran heavy equipment for 15 years. That is a lot of diesel in my system. A lot. Whether I think it wasn't or it was, the truth is it was. Every time you touch that handle, you're getting it on your hands. It's absorbing into your skin. I was that woman that was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're wearing a glove while they pump fuel. Well, it got to a point that I started wearing my work gloves. I kept them in the back by my tank, because I didn't want it to spill on my hands because of the smell, right? So I would leave those gloves in the back. But literally now, in hindsight, I'm like, thank God I used the gloves to pump the fuel, and then I'd pull them off and put them right back where they belong. Now, is everybody doing that? No, but I'll tell you what, I also made fun of, I guess would be, not really made fun of, but I thought of, like, wow, people wear plastic gloves to clean. I absolutely hate wearing plastic gloves to clean. So instead, I wanted my hands in everything so I could actually feel it. Well, all of those chemicals for the last 50 years have been settling in my liver. So again, I think you're getting the point of how whatever you're doing in your life, your shampoo, your makeup, your deodorants, deodorant has aluminum in it, right? So this is all going back into your bloodstream, your liver. So now the liver becomes congested, sluggish, fibrotic, cyst, whatever it is, and it's got to process out the new red blood cells, but it can't get rid of the dead blood cells. It has two jobs, and it's got 500 jobs, but those are two of the jobs that it has, and it doesn't allow it to work properly. So now you get dry hair, you have dry skin, you have acne. This is all part of the side effects of having a liver that doesn't function properly. So another problem that we have, which I talked about it briefly, is the air that we breathe. So our air, you know, when they came up with these huge filtration systems that go in your house, you get your little air filter thing, I forgot what they're called, but anyways, that filters out what's going on in your air. And you're thinking, that's a gimmick. Do I really need that? You know, I mean, is it really needed to spend $100 on it? You know what, you guys, I'm not telling you to go buy one, but yes, they do work. And you can see how dirty the filter is that has to be changed in X amount of time. So we have, they're like fans that are also air filters, and I only use them in the summer because that's when we're hot, right? But man, those filters are filthy because I live in the desert. So all of this metals from the ground, the arsenic, everything goes in there, and I can look at that filter and say, wow, ouch, that hurt. That's my liver, right? Because what you see there is also here. It's not just in that air, it's in this air. So it's all working together. Now, from here, the skin, this was a big one because, you know, we do a lot of things in this world. I mean, gosh, yesterday I have stalls, I have to clean them. I had my air blower out, and I used my air blower to remove dirt and dust from the barn. I know that seems crazy, but I do like clean. I like organized. So I blow my barn every day because I do live in the desert and it's full of dust 24/7. And so is the house. So I just go in and I blow it out the barn. Well, yesterday the horses were out in the arena and they were kicking up their feet and having this great time. And oh my gosh, the dust was unbelievable. And I literally stopped in my tracks and I said, wow, I've been dealing with horses for 40 years and cattle and being a rancher and literally everything you can possibly think of as far as germs go has definitely been on my hands, on my skin. I've had every kind of poop you can think of on my body. And I know that sounds gross, but it's true. And my kids were playing in it, literally growing right up underneath my feet. You know, we'd be doctoring horses' legs and they were all just sitting right there and they never got sick. And I never ever did any kind of vaccinations on them. And I know anti-vaxxers will come after me and you should do this and that and whatever. I think a lot of that depends on first your personal belief and whether or not they're being exposed. So we've also traveled to 17 countries. My kids have been exposed to India and third world countries all over that has massive amounts of germs and tuberculosis, all these other things. We never got sick, thank you, Lord. But I do believe it's because they were so healthy in their immune system that everything they were exposed to actually built a really healthy mitochondria. But when we're protected too much, which is the life that we live today, we're no longer getting that in strength that we need in our mitochondria, our endurance. Like we had meat, like we ate deer and we ate elk and we ate bear and like we hunted our land. So there's a different way of life versus living in the city. You have like all this pollution, you work indoors, you have light rays, you have all this stuff going on where you just become weaker and weaker and weaker. So you're like, Coach, what does this have to do with anything? You have to get the toxics out of the liver. So when you see or hear the word toxic detox, or not toxic detox, heavy metal detox, what is exactly that doing? What it is doing is cleaning your liver. But when you get rid of the foods and the environment and your lotions and your shampoos and makeup, you're automatically starting the process of healing the liver. Okay, well, great. How long is that going to take? I can't give you that answer. All I can tell you is that you will start to see change in 21 days. I know that for a fact. And every single person which is the reason why there is, so many results of weight loss, inflammation going down, liver healing. Inflammation is the root killer, because when the liver becomes inflamed, everything associated also becomes inflamed. So this barrier I was talking about has inflammation, and things can't get in. So your nutrients don't get in, you get the malnutrition or the malabsorption rate, you have your ATP gets weak, your mitochondria, all this just falls apart because of all of these toxins. So it's super important. It doesn't matter. Like, here's another one. Hunters. Everybody goes, oh, they're out in the wilderness, this and that. And since we're on a wilderness journey right now, I invite you to listen to this, because there is so much toxins in guns and bullets. I am a gun rep, I believe in the Second Amendment. I have a lot of guns, so this is not an anti-gun thing, but your residue is huge, and it's going directly, those metals, into your system. So somebody who is an officer most likely would need to do liver detoxes or heavy metal detox. If you're a fireman, you're exposed to so many chemicals. On every call, you're going to have the, I forgot what the product's called, but you have to open it up in the fire extinguisher. It actually has a name. And I was exposed to that on a regular basis. Detox the heavy metals out of the body. So at one time, my husband, who passed away, about maybe 6 months before he did pass away, he was diagnosed with a heavy metal test, a lead test of over 19 on his number. We should be like way down, maybe 2 or 3 at max, right? That's a functioning brain, that's low ammonia, it's low mercury, you're doing good. My guys used to have to do what we called a blood in and blood out. So they would go in and have their blood drawn before the job, and then they'd have their blood taken after the job, or urine or hair, so that we could watch the heavy metal samples, because the last thing I wanted to do is contribute to their heavy metal, liver disease, and all these ailments when they're 70, 80 years old. I don't believe in that. So I did my absolute best to make sure we did lead in and lead out, so that we know exactly where their numbers are. If you've never checked your numbers and you have lots of unexplained symptoms and you're doing everything right, you might want to also venture down via hair, saliva test, or urine test, and check your heavy metal levels. You're gonna learn a lot. And I'm gonna tell you why you need to focus on this. By the year 2050, 10 to 20 million people, which is over 1/3 will be over the age of 65, will have heavy metal toxification. Maybe the right word, not sure. But anyways, that leads to dementia. That leads to Alzheimer's. That, in the younger children, is giving them autism. So when you stop and think about, do these metals, this environment, everything we live in matter? You might not be able to prevent it, but what does matter is what you're doing on the inside. So make sure that if you have concerns, order online a saliva test, make sure it's from a good company, or call your naturopath and ask them, hey, do you have a saliva test I could buy? It might be $200, it might be $149, they might be on sale. I don't know any of that part, nor do I sell them, but I'm gonna tell you, this is a really good way to see where you are. For us in the company, I just had to pay $10 for my guys to get tested when they went in the first time, and $10 when they came out. It was an easy peasy step. They did them at the local, like an urgent care type place. But again, I don't know the situation now. So also in 2050, they're looking at over $250 billion will be spent on detoxing the body and keeping people alive, and on pills and prescription. This is a huge industry, when literally you could take some preliminary precaution and heal yourself today and not have to deal with that later, because most of you know insurance doesn't give you preventative medicine, it gives you after. So we want to get to the start of that. And then you're like, yeah, but I have insurance, I don't care, I'm not going to pay for it, I have insurance. That is a lousy reason to quit yourself. a really lousy reason. I paid into a life insurance policy at $5,000 a month for 22 years. It canceled right before the death of 6 months, and I didn't get anything. So I totally understand this, because you're like, well, what about if I put my money in an investment? What if I did? But what if you get sick, right? So think wisely with your money, and then remember that detoxing your body is going to increase your chances of being healthy. It's not going to hurt you. That's probably the end of the thing, is it's only going to help you, not hinder you. So autism will be in 1 out of every 2 children by the year 2050. So your grandchildren, your children's children, wherever that's at, depending on your age, that is a number that is very frightening, not because autism scares me, but because we will not be a functioning society, and we're going to be sick. We're going to be living on medications. So again, all of this today can stop the generational sickness by getting the kids healthier. Along with that, diabetes is going to be 1 out of every 3. Obesity will be 1 out of every 3, and that is in adults and children. And in depression, it will be 1 out of every 3 teenagers will be treated for anxiety and depression and some sort of psychosis. So the mental illness also goes back to the heavy metal levels in the brain. So when you had mercury in your teeth, which I did have mine pulled out at, I was, let's see, 49, I think mine were taken out, maybe 50. I had them all removed. Unfortunately, my teeth fell apart, so that was a whole nother problem. But getting the mercury out of my body, I really felt like would start healing my autoimmune diseases. And it did to some point, but not completely, because it had already affected my liver. Am I mad at my parents? No, they did what the doctors told them to do, because they just were sheep. They followed. And what I'm asking you to do is to go against it. Do your better research to find out that if you have mercury in your body, can you get it taken out? Can you get it replaced? Will you end up with dentures? Whatever's happening, because the teeth are directly connected into the sinuses that go into the brain, that ends up with Alzheimer's or dementia. And you're like, but wait a minute, I thought we were talking about, the liver. Well, we are, because the brain and the liver and the gut all talk together. So now all of that still got to go back to the liver and be drained out, and it blocks these plugs from working. Along with that, in the depression, so the mental illness can also come from high levels of toxins, which is also ink. So if you are a huge tattoo person, and I'm not judging, do what you please, but you may want to get your heavy metal tested, because the ink is also going to fall into that toxic level. There is no, and I have children that have lots of tattoos. I've told them all, I don't agree with it. I know what's going to happen in the long run, but everybody has to make their own decisions, right? So tattoos are very dangerous, and I know there's people out there who say, oh no, it's good ink, it's this, it's that. All I can say is that if you read and you learn the truth, you can make that wise decision yourself. You don't have to do it based off me. Okay, so now we go over here and we look at this little chart, and it's like, well, what is the worst toxins? So just so you know, dental hits your brain. Vaccines hit your blood. Now, I'm not going to tell you to get vaccines or not get vaccines, but if you get the flu shot, you've had the COVID, you do all the immunizations, I don't even know, the HVP, I think it's called, or something. My kids have had none, and I've had none. So, well, actually, that's not true. I had the first shot when I was 5, because that wasn't my choice, right? But I have not had any shots since then. So vaccines affect your blood, which is your liver. And then seafood is raw seafood, like sushi and stuff. If you're a high consumer, this is parasites. This is heavy lead metals that is going into the gut, which is still part of your liver, and that's also going to cause a problem. Then we have industrial, which is where you live. If you work at airports, you're at a train station, you're working at filling stations, or maybe you work at a tire shop, like whatever it is, you're gonna have industrial. I have worked at so many industrial plants. I'm highly exposed. I'm actually gonna do a heavy metal detox myself here soon. And then our clothing, this is a very, very interesting one. I am a huge shopper. I will never deny that. I buy from all over the place. I do like better quality clothing versus junk, but I bought lots of junk. And unfortunately, most of our products that are coming from overseas is full of lead. And I hate to say that because it's like, why would they do this? Your children's toys have lead in it. Everything's got lead in it. And I just think, why do we have to put lead in that? What is the purpose of that, right? But the bottom line, it's there. I'm not in that business, and all I can do is do my best to not bring it into my house. And that is from everything. Even the big discrepancy on Stanley cups. Do they have lead? Do they not have lead? You know what? Do what your research can do, know what you gotta do, look at the studies, find out who funded it, because the money sways the results and it sways the end outcome of that company. Know what you're looking at. I don't do that as much, but you can do it. Also, all products, so this is like down at the little brown one down there, because the clothing and the light products, you know, your chair could have lead and you're sitting on it, your furniture, your carpet, your flooring. It doesn't seem like it would affect your system, but it actually does. And it's mind-boggling to me, because when I dove into this a few months ago, I mean, mats in the gym, you go places, you go into grocery stores and into malls. Are you gonna put yourself in a bubble? No. But you have to be aware of the buildup that happens in the liver. So if you start to see these symptoms, you could say, hey, maybe it's time for me to do a heavy metal detox. Or maybe I need to get back on that liver detox. Now, along with all this, the one thing I wanna tie in here, which is so critical, is being carnivore. So why do we go carnivore? So carnivore takes care of your liver. It's gonna rebuild the liver. So it's gonna renew the cells in the liver and grow a healthier liver. And it gives you what you need, because most diets are lacking in the nutrients and the minerals that we need to be healthy, but red meat takes care of the liver through the B1, the C, the B6, right? Because when this breaks down, the whole program falls apart. So it's really important that you do remain carnivore and stay away from the vegetables that are full of oxalates. That's going to cause more gut issues. That's the nutrition side, which I don't want to go into today. I really wanted you to focus on your external life, your products that you put on your body, all that type of stuff, where you're living, how you're living. And I'm not asking you to move your house. Like, trust me, if you live in an apartment complex in the middle of New York, that's the way it is. But what do you do to help prevent that from becoming a liver disease down the road? Is do your detoxes once every 3 months. If you feel really good, you don't need to do it, right? Or do it as preventative medicine. Okay, you guys, that's the cell rejuvenation, your symptoms, where we're probably headed by the year 2050. That is the estimation over there, 10 to 20 million people. 1/3 of them will be over the age of 65. I don't even know how old I'll be in 2050. I think I'll be like 100 or something. I don't know, whatever it is. Pay attention. Be aware. Let's see, I'll be 90 actually. Pay attention to what's going on. When I'm 90, I want to look as good as I do today. So I am paying attention, and I'm just here to educate you guys. So don't shoot the messenger. I love you guys. Have a great day and take care, and God bless.